Thanks so much for joining this stream. Make sure you check below and hit the like button, and make sure you're subscribed. The lights are on, the cameras are rolling, and we're ready to go live. So make sure you comment and ask as many questions as you can. That makes this experience better, and it lets the algorithm know that this is engaging, and so it goes ahead and invites other people into the stream as well. So thank you very much for making this channel what it is. Now let's compare some e-ink tablets. Warm welcome to you. Yes, I'm really excited for this stream as well. But I think, Modest Karma, the thing about this type of device is if it makes you look at a screen and what you do on that screen is that you read, I don't think you can really see that as being bad, really. I think if your device is not distraction free, but you're distracted by dipping back in to that next canto of Dante, that's the type of thing that I end up doing on these type of devices, then I think that's fine, isn't it? That's not a bad habit to have. And Amanda, I'm very excited for you too. I've only had mine for a few days. I made a bit of content. I'm always really excited to actually make content about the devices that I received to test. Warm welcome, Ruby, as well. And thanks so very much for being a member. A couple of new members on the stream as well. Same here too. Can't wait to get my new device and really looking forward to this stream. Awesome. Good to see you here. My pleasure. Is can we have an app tray separate from the home screen? Yeah. So what it has a like a what did they call it? A smart assistant mode here, which you can have a quick launcher in. And then yes, you can have a few more than I've got. I've only got 4 in my little app tray there as well. And what I'm going to do today, actually, I'm going to go ahead and it's just such a great time making these live streams with you guys. I'm going to go ahead and actually split today's streams in half, and I'm going to come back and talk about the next paper, Ultra 60. So just so that they're actually titled something different. So if you're asking questions or interested about the next paper, Ultra 60, then that's going to be sort of next. And what I wanted to do here is make sure that I've covered all of the kind of comparisons and all the questions that you guys have already asked on my first video on the Palma 2 Pro. So that's what this device is. This is the Palma 2 Pro. Unfortunately, things like third-party apps don't tend to run very well in terms of drawing. They tend to run fine in other ways. Warm welcome, Alexander, as well. So awesome to see you all here, by the way. Warm welcome to you all. Warm welcome if you're watching on a mobile device and you're watching vertically or horizontally. So you can now choose. It does mean I get a bit more limited because the different layouts don't tend to look quite as good on the mobile. Well, that one's not too bad, is it, on the mobile? So I might switch to that one occasionally. But generally, we're just going to be in this kind of view for most of the live stream, but really awesome to see. So fire in your questions as you go. I'm going to start by actually showing the reading. And I've got here, this is reading in the Neo Reader, which is a very good, very powerful Neo Reader, very powerful reading app. This is great. For me, I quite like the case that it's very easy to pull out of the sort of flip part of the case, and now it's just that one-handed reading experience. Very nice, very crisp text, just so we're aware where we are with lights. About 2/3 of the way up. Would normally have it a bit warmer than I had it there. And this is a nice time, and I'll be very happy reading there. There's been a few questions about the darkness of the screen. That's always talked about with this type of e-ink. I personally see these as being mobile devices, so seek out going and reading outdoors, which is just a lovely time, you know, of course. So that's the thing there. And now, because it's also 4G or 5G enabled, as you can see, you can read and you can download your content wherever you are as well. And it's really, that's the thing about it. It's just all of the great Palma things. It's just, you know, the same as the 2 previous Palmas in terms of being a lovely one-handed single pocket reading experience. But now you can probably get away with leaving your phone at home if you want to, or leaving it in the car, or leaving it in a bag or whatever. And you've still got your mobile connected device should somebody need to WhatsApp you or whatever, or you need to WhatsApp somebody. So I think it's brilliant for these reasons. And of course, you've got color. And the color, I'll just talk about reading in the Kindle app here. And this is just a random super. I'm not actually reading this one, but I have, on this type of device, I have really enjoyed reading graphic novels. Superman just happens to be quite nice sets of color. I think it's quite good when you can use the guided mode. You can zoom out and see the panels if you need to. I think the colors look really pretty cool on it, personally. Now, incidentally, I did notice when I was making the content, I couldn't find the mode that lets you increase the animation filter time. So that's what you need to do. If you're in Regal or HD, to get rid of the color ghosting, you have to increase that animation filter time at the bottom there. And I found it. You just have to press the actual button. You press the button. You have to press the name of whichever one you're changing. So I've got it in the recommended settings. You tap the actual name recommended, and then you get the extra the extra menu in there. So Boox are renowned for having multiple more menus in within menus, and all the options, too many options at times, and that's continued. But they've even gone and hidden the the more menu to make it even harder for you to find. I was wondering when somebody was going to notice this. Yeah, fresh trim, even from my live stream earlier on, and I looked at the Note Air5 C earlier on, and that's what I've got my notes on just now. And yeah, since then I've actually had my haircut. So thanks very much. When I see the children tomorrow at school, I will say I'll make them think that my hair's fallen out because of the stress of being their teacher. That's my joke that I normally go for. I'm going to come back to some of these other questions, so hold your horses, but I'm going to cover reading just now. So yeah, I think that the animation filter means that you do get less ghosting now in color panels as well. I'm going to go ahead and compare to the Palma 2. And the Palma 2 is the black and white one. And this is a very common question, is like, do you think that they will release a Palma Pro with black and white? I don't think that they have any plans to do that. I think that they're probably going to be happy with these as their two options at the minute. You know, actually, there's plenty of you out there. Let me know. Are you no? I still want my Palma 2. I still don't want the mobile connectivity. Loads of people said that. You know, I was straight away saying, why on earth haven't they put a SIM card in these? And now they finally have. I think it's brilliant. Why haven't they made a color one in the past? You know, I personally, well, you might as well buy this one at this point. But let me know, what do you think? Are you a Palma 2 person, a black and white reader, or are you a SIM card, or are you really just like, why haven't I got a black and white option with a SIM card as well? And I think reading on here is really still very good. Let's go to a book on both of them. In Kindle, why not? Let's try and find the same book quickly. What I was reading back here, I never finished that Murakami. Actually, I actually was quite interested, but like, just never finished it for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I just got to a slow bit. Let's open The Wild Robot Protects on both, and just have a quick look at the text. Go to the same spot. Why not? So you can really see the difference there. I mean, there is a difference, isn't there? Nice and close. One's got auto rotate and the other one doesn't, obviously. You know, to actually make the brightness anywhere similar, you can see why I turned the auto rotate off on the other one now, can't you? Then you really do need to pump that front light up. But then once you know, as I say, once you seek out outdoor spaces, then it's fine. I mean, if this front light is on, so let's turn the front light off on that one and just match them up. You see, just to make it look anywhere near the same, you've got the front light at a sort of 2/3 height. So there's that. And I think if you're just reading words, then stick with black and white. Also, well, this says it's a Palma 2 Pro, and it is black and white. This is the version that they sort of lent me just to test out, the prototype version. I just received it back. I haven't even logged into it. I just got it going, but I could put the SIM card back in here. And I did think for a while, I thought maybe this is going to be the only black and white Palma 2 with a SIM card that can make calls. Maybe this could make calls when I had it, but because it's now been reset to the Palma 2 Pro firmware, then now it's the phone app that was installed on there isn't there, and it doesn't therefore work as a phone anymore. And I did try and install a phone app. I have installed it. There it is. There's the phone app, but I can press set as default as much as I want. It just won't let me set a default phone app, and therefore I think it's just disabled, that it cannot be used as a phone, the Palma 2 Pro. So anyone who was thinking, no, you can just go ahead and install a phone app, no, you can't. You can call and things on it, but it will be through messaging apps with things like WhatsApp or Telegram or anything like that. So just be aware that's your choice if you do want to make calls and things on it. Incidentally, I hope they do release this at some point, because I quite like this color. I think the black around the edge makes it really pop, but I really quite like the grayish thing on here as well. So maybe that could be a interesting idea. Okay, I'll have a look through your questions, and then I'll go through the next bit of comparing, which most people have asked for, which was the comparison with the Hybreak. And I want to talk about the Notes app as well. So I will do that after having a quick look through. Where did we get up to? Yeah, Ruby, I did check that for you, mate, and that's something that I'd planned to cover, so we can do that now if you want. So what you need to do, if you want to add a picture to Notes, what you do is go into doc scan rather than camera. I haven't tried it with the camera actually, but you go new scan, give it whatever the name is, take a photo. Okay, and then you can click next, and you can edit it at this point if you like. You can click next again, and then you get the option to Notes, and then you can choose any notebook that you have. So I'll put it in this one, which is an Infinite Notes. So I haven't tried putting it in Infinite Notes, but there we go. It's arrived in the Infinite Notes. And I can put it in a place, and I can make it whatever size, and then I can annotate around it should I wish to. I should be able to anyway. I don't know why the pen's not working at this point. There we go. So now I can annotate on it, around it, etc. So I hope that answers your question, Ruby. Yeah, that does work. That workflow seems to work just fine. I'll come back to this Infinite Notes thing in a little while. Carry on through your questions. How are you? I haven't used the navigation yet. I don't think I've even installed Google Maps yet, but I will try that out certainly at some point. I'm going to move these other two so they're not kind of confusing things, and zoom in a bit. I plan on using mine at times to navigate while biking, and I'm interested in the color contrast when using Google Maps. Yes, well, I have used the same screen on the Hybreak Pro, and it's usable. It isn't great, I would say, in terms of the color contrast. So take that for that experience as you will at this point. Do you need a separate device to install WhatsApp? Once it's installed, can you use a Palma to add other devices? Yeah, so yeah, you can, in WhatsApp on your main phone, you can click like add a second device, and it shows a QR code which you can then scan with this WhatsApp in here. Can we have apps somewhere other than the home screen? Do you mean like, can you make groups? Yes, you can. You can hold them down, you can put them together and make groups. Add to group, you see down there. Okay, I don't tend to do that because I'm lazy with things like that. If you think mainly read on black and white, Palm 2 makes more sense specifically because of the $269.99 price tag. Yeah, I mean, that's your choice, isn't it? You just need to know whether you need or want the 4G and whether you need or want the stylus, really. Because I do think adding that 130 quid $130 to get those two things. If you're going to use them all the time, I think that they just makes sense to do that. If you don't want them, then stick with the black and white. That's my opinion on that one. I hope that kind of helps. Really, you just have to, you pay to get the features that you want, because you're planning on using this for 3, 4, 5 years if you're going to buy this now. It seems to be just fine in terms of scratch resistance. I mean, I've used a lot of e-ink screens, and I must say that very, very few of them have any noticeable scratches, if at all. I only have 13.3 inch, so I'd like to have a small colored device. Yes, I'm going to talk about that as well. Do you have a Boox 13.3? I wonder. We'll talk about that as well. What pushes it over the edge, I think, is Android 15. Palma 2 is too far behind. I wish they would commit to updates. Yeah, I wonder if there's something going on about that, those updates in the background. Thanks so much, I appreciate you. I found the warm light on the Go 6 to be lime green tinted, whereas Kindle Paperwhite is a nice amber. Okay, so that was asked to compare it to a Kindle Paperwhite. So actually, I would bring that out. And obviously now I've got different color lights, so we can go actually into the same thing, can't we? Is Kindle still open? I think Kindle must be automatically closed in the background. So sometimes you find that an app that you wanted to stay open is sort of automatically closed in the background. So you can actually change that if you wish to. Okay, so let's have a little look. Can I open that now? Can I? No, thanks. So here we go. Let's just go through the range of front light options that we have. Right off. The Kindle interface. And you're saying that when you're coming from a Boox device, and that's quite dark actually. To be fair, this is not the very most recent Kindle here. So that there are newer Kindles than this, but you can still see that the black and white ink is looking better than the color one by some margin. And then the different range of the front lights. Oh, it's on automatic, that's why it's come up there. Here, the warmer front light you're probably going to choose to have on. I mean, to match it up to that, you've got to really kind of crank this up, haven't you? So yeah, I hope that helps. I mean, certainly the Kindle Paperwhite is a good, simple reader. The nice thing about this is that you can choose to use whatever, and talk about note taking in a second. But one thing I was thinking is, well, actually, you can just use OneNote on the Palma 2 Pro, and I think I might just start doing that, as I'll discuss in a little while. So that's with the Paperwhite there. Thanks very much for that question. How are we doing? Is the gap beneath the, yeah, it's exactly the same, the gap beneath the bezel. No issue with that, really. I think that's just is what it is. It seems to be the same on all the different mobile e-ink devices. It's weird because you can take a picture directly within Notes now on the Tab Ultra C Pro. Yeah, I think let's start talking about the Notes app then, because I think, in fact, the Notes app is somewhat cut down in some way, because I can't seem to get this bar to go like to become toolbars around the edge. I don't know if I'm missing something, but I can't seem to get this in any kind of note format. I can't seem to get it to become I don't know what's going on there. What I'm used to, which is with the notes, the toolbars around the side. Okay, so I kind of seem to have to always use that floating toolbar, which is annoying. And I can't see within any of the notes formats. Let's just look at a normal notebook format, if you like. And can you see there's 35 pages in this? And the reason there's 35 pages in this is because randomly, when I was using the Note Air5 C, you can notice that I've actually started using the smaller Boox pen, because when I used this pen, it touches that down volume arrow and it made a whole load of extra pages randomly. So That was quite annoying. So I think this just, yeah, it's a no-go really. Apart from you could disable that as being a page turn button, and that would stop that happening. But it's just like you shouldn't have to. Anyway, so okay, so any page within these notes. Now I don't seem to still be able to put that into the corner, as you can see. I can hold that down. I get the other options, and I don't get, see on this, when I'm in this view, I hold that down. It does nothing. Okay, I don't need to hold it down. You can see enter edge unfolding mode, and that's that normal mode there. So there we are, but you don't seem to have that option here, just exit note. So I don't know there really. And you can see this has come to the same aspect ratio as the notes thing there. And therefore I was thinking to myself, well, you could use the infinite notes, and that would be really cool actually. I thought, oh, you know, actually just is a really good idea. Like, hold on a second, this is going to be really good working between the Boox Palma 2 Pro and a bigger Boox device, because infinite notes means what it says. It means infinite notes, doesn't it? So let's just exit this note. I can actually manage to exit it. It's funny, we always complain about Boox software being difficult to navigate, and I don't want to make that exit the note though. I just want to exit this note. And then doing it whilst talking in a live stream is like even harder. So please forgive me if I just bumble a little bit occasionally through the notes thing. Right, so into the notes, into this one, which is an infinite note. Okay, and I thought, yeah, this is cool actually. Okay, so I can zoom out, zoom in, I can scroll around, and I can have as much notes as I want. But tell me if you notice something that's gone wrong. Because then I thought to myself, well, okay, what you can do is you can kind of like sync across. You can see something else has gone wrong here as well. You can sync across from this one to your larger Boox device, and you can see then I synced and I started writing. You can see this handwriting here that looks slightly neater. I don't know where I skipped across there. There, that handwriting just there. I wrote that on the Note Air5 C. It looks slightly nicer than this stuff that I wrote just above it with the capacitive stylus on this guy, which is okay. You know, it's all right to do quick notes. Yeah, you can write okay on there. That's not too bad, is it? It's okay. And then I synced across, and then randomly I missed out, like I'd written a whole load more on this side here in preparation for this live stream. And it's just sort of, lots of it's just got cut off. I think I know where it's gone, because I can kind of see it hiding in the corner up there. So some of it's just sort of randomly in syncing, it's gone between the two. And I think syncing does work. And what I wrote down here is what you need to do is to make sure you've closed them on one device and given it time to sync up and down to the cloud before you use it on the other device. Otherwise, I think this is going to happen. So there is an issue there with the infinite notes, certainly with syncing, whether that's going to have, whether that's going to be in all different notes forms or just these ones, whether that's something that's it's going to get repeated. I don't know. I'll test that out. And it's quite funny because the first thing, one of the bits that's got missed off there, the first thing I said in there was like, I'm really loving this device, you know, I'm really enjoying it. And I wrote, I'm afraid my review is going to be a bit rubbish because I'm feeling a bit like fanboyish at the minute. I'm really enjoying the Palma 2 Pro. And I kind of felt like, oh no, this is not going to be a very good set of reviews and content on it, because I'm kind of like just enjoying it a bit too much and I'm going to be a bit too positive about it. And then I had this issue. Now I'm like, no, okay, well, not convinced then. So yeah, the infinite note seems like a great idea. There's one issue though, you can't zoom out. There's another issue, not one issue. You can't zoom out, it seems, further than 50%. You can zoom in quite far. Zoom in, I think you can only zoom between 50 and 200%. So just be aware of that, that you might want to actually start working on the Palma at 200% so that it comes through in a normal scale here on the larger one. But that's, you know, hopefully that works in the future and it can be a winner. But it could be a very useful thing, for example, to do Ruby's workflow and actually take the photo on here, insert it into the notes. I don't think there's a way to take a photo directly in here in the notes app itself, but you can obviously enter the picture in there in a couple of other ways as well. You can enter it in one that you've already got saved on the device as well. Okay, so that's the issue with notes. And I figure, well, what I will probably actually do then, I will probably just start using OneNote. And I'll just actually, lots of people have asked me, like, what's my workflow across devices? Whoops, press the back button back in there. Well, my workflow across devices has been basically rely on OneNote to do it for you. And that is something that's going to sync up to my computer screen there in a moment. And, you know, OneNote is just a bit more reliable. There's fewer conflicts I find there. So I do recommend that as an option if you're looking for workflows between devices. Okay, and you can see the little workaround that they do for the e-ink to allow you to write OK in there. Now, one more thing, though, just to say is actually I did enjoy drawing on here. I don't think that this is going to be your very best. I mean, it does look great when the front light is right up, doesn't it? Is it? What level am I on? Yeah, 26, look. So it does start to look really good when, and if you give it a lot of natural light, like I said, outdoors, it does look really quite good. But if I go back into the Notes app, come out of this note, and show you drawing that I made on it. Actually, I think this is pretty good. This is just one that I drew, I just sort of made up somebody. It's ended up looking quite a bit like my boy, actually, but yeah, it's just nobody in particular. And actually, I think it's quite good. And the pen with tilt, the pencil with tilt works on it. And I haven't seen much of a slowdown with it. Let's try that out, actually. So I think some of the user interface icons are a bit small, possibly just because they're porting them across from larger devices and they haven't sort of got it perfect yet. Pencil, tilt and pressure. That's not a lot of slowdown compared to the larger devices, actually. And I could dot around here and see if I can make it crash. But it seems pretty okay for now. So actually, it deleted all that because it thinks it's a scribble to erase. Cool, so that's that. That's the Notes app. I'm going to look at the Hybreak next. Any other questions at all, please let me know now in the chat. I'll have a look in the chat now as well. Is there any more questions since I've done that? I could have shown the Coloursoft Liz. Sorry about that, but my daughter's got it in her room upstairs and she's already asleep, so I won't be able to do that just now. But it's a similar screen to that. It's just, you know, it is the Kaleido-free screen. It looks pretty good. Yeah, have the 13.3 Max Lumi too. So yeah, now that's an interesting point because they did say when I started making a note on here, it did say that it won't be syncing certain notes with devices of a certain age or firmware of a certain age. So it's worth, if you're worried about that, it's worth asking Boox on their website or through your Max Lumi. You can, in the settings, you can contact customer support through there and get that question answered before you commit to it. Excuse me, expecting it to definitely sync up with your older device. Haven't listened to many audiobooks on it just yet. I don't really listen to much on it, as I don't watch videos either, so it's not something I can really tell you about, I'm afraid. There, I imagine it will be fine for that kind of length of time, though. Is the screen? It's I'm not sure actually. I think it's plastic. It feels quite plasticky, but I'm not actually sure 100%. There is glare. You can see glare, but it's a kind of diffuse kind of glare. So you don't get the kind of spectral shapes and things like that. It's not bad actually, and that type of glare always looks much worse. And I can pick up that's. I'm looking at the glare that, you know, if I orientate it in a certain way that I see the glare personally, I'm looking at that same bit of glare there, and I can still read it when that bit of glare is on there. So I think it's not too bad. I wouldn't buy a screen protector. It's got one on by default, I believe. So I would just use it as it is personally. Not having the note app and working GPS on Palma 1 was my main complaint. They've answered it with this. Yeah, they really have. Icons look tiny. Yes, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think that they, you know, sometimes, well, it was mentioned earlier on, wasn't it, that a bit more time spent looking at those would be useful for books. Really, we would all like that. But they do improve things with updates. It's just sometimes a bit rushed at the beginning. Got Palma 2 a few days ago. Debated a long time if I wanted to get the Pro. Decided not to. I think for color, I prefer it to be a bigger screen. Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about, April. Like a lot of the times, and when we bring in the Hybreak now. The Hybreak is really, really good. And the Hybreak, as I said in my first video on these two, the Hybreak is a phone, whereas this is not. It's just got mobile connectivity. Screens are incredibly similar. You see it just doing its auto brightness adjust there. Screen's incredibly similar. And there we are. The sliders are the different opposite way around on the Big Me, but there we are. The thing that makes me sort of recommend the Palma over the Hybreak is really the ecosystem benefits. And a lot of people said, you know, what's the software like compared? Well, actually very similar. I think they both do manage their e-ink really well now. And, you know, generally the software that, you know, the software is pretty similar really in terms of what they can do. And, you know, they've clearly learned a lot. Well, Big Me's probably learned more from books than the other way around, but they've clearly learned a lot and developed things really well. It really is, between these two, I can vouch for both of them being a good time. Just need to decide whether you need the pen, you go this side, decide whether you need the phone calling and SMS messaging, then go this way. And the other phone-like bits, like for instance, yeah, you can't have an eSIM on either of them, I don't think. No, but some other kind of things that you just kind of expect phones to have now, like NFC, you get it on here on the Big Me Hybreak, but not on the Boox. So you got that choice as well. And one more thing to say, there's a few of you have said that actually you'd like a black and white version. Well, it kind of exists in a way, because on my first review of the black and white Big Me Hybreak was, it's a Palma with a SIM card, and it really is, and it's really still a very good e-ink phone with a black and white screen, which is just pretty much the same, just the same performance as a black and white Palma. So I actually think there's nothing wrong with the well, there are things wrong with everything, but it's still a valid choice, let's say. It's don't need to show around much. So I'll let it do its update. That's probably one thing that is wrong with the Big Me, actually, is that updates can sometimes be a bit sketchy and take a couple of goes to get through, but it's not a big deal. But actually, you know, this is working fine, and it does a good job. But why not, you know, why would I possibly suggest you should go towards the Boox ecosystem rather than the Big Me, is that I think that, like, let's say, well, I've pointed out the flaws of it. Let's say a Palma and a Note Air 5 C, or a Palma and a Tab X C, makes more sense than a Bigme Hybreak and a, oh, that's the Tab Ultra C Pro, isn't it? Oh, I put it away. And the Bigme B1051C, for example, the larger Bigme tablets. So I think what maybe swings me towards recommending the Boox Palma over the Bigme Hybreak Pro is more about generally the ecosystem that you're entering into. And as somebody pointed out just a little bit earlier, Palma 1 didn't have notes. You wanted that, well, now you've got it, and you've got that syncing between the two. So there are those. Cool. We've asked a lot of questions. Any more questions about the Hybreak? Because there are a lot of key things that are still right about the Hybreak. And what will happen, I will, after I've finished reviewing it, I will almost certainly be keeping a e-ink phone with a SIM card in my life now that I've got these two to choose from. It will be interesting which one I settle on out of the Bigme Hybreak Pro and the Palma 2 Pro. So that's going to be an interesting kind of conclusion video at some point, I suppose, which one I will choose and why. I'm leaning towards currently, well, I use Boox in my larger e-ink devices quite a lot, so I'm leaning towards it being that one, but we'll see. Well, I will test things out and make a informed decision and bring you in on that process, if you like. Cool. Let's have a quick look through. Ordered one. Awesome. Excited for you too. Really want the pen. Can you advise on how to get it since it's been out of stock for ages? Yeah. Patience, I'm afraid, is the only way that's going to work with you with that there. Is the max screen refresh similar to the max screen refresh of the Hybreak Pro? Yeah, they're very similar. They must have looked at each other's kind of code, really, and yeah, they're very similar. Well, now I have to get one and examine the Infinity, because I'm sure there's a way to do this, since my main reason for buying devices is to test all the stuff they could do. Yeah, it's we've got a lot of people who sort of do what I do, just off their own back, and then give them away to friends. Yeah, which is what I do with mine, give them away as well. Yeah. Yeah, you can turn the brightness down, absolutely. And actually, I've said it a few times when I've been working with Kaleido-free devices, I have just run them without the front light at all, and you can get away with it. It works just fine. You sort of seek out better lighting for better eye care. SIM usefulness is what I'm wondering about. Is it better, for example, downloading when you don't have a Wi-Fi signal? Or have you tried a Zoom or Google Voice call? No, I haven't actually tried either of those, I will be honest with you. But whether that's something that you need to do, I just think it's really useful. For example, let's say I'm going to use OneNote. Well, it's really useful that I don't have to find Wi-Fi to know that whatever I've written down in OneNote is synced up to the cloud. I think that's the thing for me. And it could be the case, you know, reading in any app that again, my reading progress is going to be synced up to the cloud. It could be the case that actually I just want to quickly check a score or something on BBC News website, or I just want to or I want to download a new app to try, or, you know, there's so many times where it's just nice just to have mobile connectivity, isn't it? And yeah, it's an interesting point, but it kind of always, I know we've got hotspots on our phone. I've tried that. I really did try that with the original Palma. I even bought like a tiny mobile phone, one of the what they call Unihertz jelly phones. I bought that and decided to try and use that as a hotspot and as my main phone, and then use a Palma for other things. And it was just a nuisance having to put the thing onto the hotspot all the time. So now it's just great that it's just its own internet, really. It's really useful. Yeah. Now, April, you probably don't use the pen with the Go 7. And incidentally, somebody asked if you could use the pen Oh, it's Avid, a different person. Yeah, you can use the older Inksense on this. It just doesn't work quite as well. So that is a possibility if you're absolutely desperate. But yeah, you kind of like, you think, oh, it'd be a good idea, and then you don't bother to use it. So, and the Inksense Plus works better on the Palma 2 than it does on the Go Color Gen 2. I did show that in my first video. The Inksense Plus is the better pen compared to the Inksense. They both work on either, but we'll put this light on a little bit for you guys. I'll put it up, make it look really good, shall I? But the actual controller that does the stylus function on the Go Color Gen 2 is not as good as it is on the Palma. So I'd say both work on both, but so this is the original Inksense. It's not too bad, but it's not as good as the Inksense Plus. It's marginal, the difference. It's not huge, okay? And both are slightly worse on the Go Color Gen 2. So this is the Inksense. Oh dear. And this is the Inksense Plus. Okay, so it's still the same order. Like the Inksense is objectively worse than the Inksense Plus, and also the Go Color 7 is objectively worse than the Palma 2. So if that makes sense, but they're both cross-compatible. Black versus white body, does the screen really appear? Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, it really, like, I don't know how much I left in, but like there was a moment where I was like, oh, that really is darker, when I was comparing it to the Hybreak. And then I thought, no, it's just because it's in a white body. So it really does, the contrasting is real. It's not a big deal because you just get used to whatever you've got, and the actual reading is fine on either way. But when you've got them side by side, you do really think, wow, that looks whiter when it's on a black and white, on a black surround. Cool. I think I've covered most of what I want to cover. I'm going to have a little moment. Oh yeah, there was a few more questions that I just wanted to check off the list. It's got a MagSafe on the back here on the case, which is just for putting it into the case, but it's not MagSafe as in MagSafe charging. So if you read like that it's MagSafe compatible somewhere, well, it's not in terms of charging, but it is in terms of just being able to like stand it on something. So if you've got a MagSafe like holder in your car or something, you could use it just for that. Somebody asked about the battery life on the pen. It wasn't fully charged when it arrived, so it was like, it only shows you in quarter increments. It was 3/4 charged when it arrived, and I had to charge it yesterday after 2 days of kind of sporadic use, like occasional use, or quite a bit actually of testing it out. So I think that when it's fully charged, it will probably last you about a working week, so 5 days or something like that. So I'm not 100% sure on that, but you do need to charge it. You'll notice it will, you'll notice it start to skip beats. I don't know if you notice the stylus on the Go 7 actually skip strokes. That's probably because it needs to be charged. So it is a bit of a nuisance, but it's not a deal breaker. A couple more things. Somebody asked for camera tests between this and the Hybreak Pro. I will do that in a future video as well. Okay, last little bits, and then I will leave you for a little while. I'll be back at 10 o'clock to look at the next paper. If you're up for that, next paper, 60 Ultra. So if you want to come back for that, then please do. Boox cloud integration is pretty good. I love having all my notes, bookmarks synced automatically. Yeah, it's definitely got better, and there's so many options there. It just takes a bit of getting used to at the start. So if you do want to sync up your reading, then you can, and you can sync it up with your own third-party cloud if you want. You can sync up with Google Drive or lots of different cloud options. So you can do that. It just takes setting up, and once you've got it set up and you've got your head around it, it should work just fine. Second live of the day, and I'm coming back with one more, Aaron, as well. So I'll see you there as well, I hope. Can you use the case as stand-in portrait mode? I don't think so. I think they kind of missed a little bit of a trick on some of these. They were, when it's in this magnetic case, that's a bit like, it's a bit clunky. It's kind of, I suppose, might be quite easy to hold it like that or something. And no, you can't really stand it up. That is it standing up, but I wouldn't really trust it not to just fall over at any point. But so no, it's not really able to do that, but it's, I suppose, possible. But they could have made something. I feel like there's a groove there. Is there a reason for that groove? It could have maybe made some way of making it a stand. I don't know. No, I don't think so. Basically, almost think that there must have been something they could have done there. Why there is these folds, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so not really. But as I say, you've got a MagSafe on there, so now you can get anything to put on the back of that. You can put pop socket type stands on there that can allow it to stand up. Okay, turn mobile data off individually. I think so. Mobile data, yeah, turn it off there. Look. Okay. So yes, that's possible. And by the way, like a lot of people said, it's a data-only SIM. Mine is a non-data-only SIM, but I'm only getting the data from it, if that makes sense. It does have a phone number, my SIM card that I've used in it. You don't have to get a special one. You can just use whatever SIM card you might already have with a number. It's just that you're only going to get the data from it. I have that case for Palma 1. It's great with an O snap grip. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I haven't. The only thing is that remember that the case will be different because the buttons on the other side from the Palma 2, or I think the Palma 1 didn't have as many buttons. It didn't have the extra button, did it? The extra function button, which it does have. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Thanks so much. Thanks for a great stream. Thanks for being here and having a good evening with me. I really enjoyed that. That's fun. I'm going to come back for another one. I'm going to come back for a look at the next paper, Ultra 60. So if you are up for that, and I'll even do a little bit of a comparison between the next paper, Ultra 60.